It is now 6 o'clock and still very difficult to see some of those images there sent to us by family and loved ones of those individuals that have been identified as some of the victims of the Hill Country floods. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning San Antonio as we continue to cover the devastation in the Hill Country.
So right now, let's break down the latest numbers. We got 90 people confirmed dead as a result of the flooding in the Hill Country. That number, unfortunately, likely to rise as search and rescue operations continue. And besides the 90 combined deaths in Kerr and Kendall counties, there are at least 10 more people that have died in flooding in other counties across the state, including 5 in Travis County, which is why you might be hearing some conflicting numbers from the state and some local numbers here. And we want to shine a light on the people who lost their lives in the flooding. So right now, you're looking right here at the images and names of the victims that we have so far. These people were sons and daughters, brothers and sisters, moms and dads, grandparents as well, and now the silence of them being gone is leaving a huge hole in the lives of many, many of our neighbors. Again, thank you so much for waking up with us on Good Morning San Antonio. We are continuing our coverage, team coverage of the Hill Country floods. And this morning, you see right there, we have Ernie Zuniga, who is back in Kerrville for us this morning, and our Patty Santos, who is live in Ingram as well. So first of all, before we get to Ernie and Patty, let's go ahead and check in with Justin with a check of today's forecast.
Good morning to you guys. Forecast for today, we're expecting some clouds this morning. There will be a chance for some more rain today. We saw that yesterday with some pop-up downpours and some heavy rain in spots. Let's get right to the hourly forecast here. 79 at 10 o'clock. We think we'll be up near 83 by noontime, and your high temperature 91. Your rain chance today, 30%. And like yesterday, if you're underneath one of those downpours, expect to get about a quarter to half an inch of rainfall, and the best chance as it stands right now will be east of I-35, just the way the energy is playing out here across the area. So once we get to noontime, you'll start to see some showers and some downpours develop along the coast. These will try to work a little further inland by 2 o'clock. And then by, say, the 5 o'clock hour, we may see some of that activity here around San Antonio. And that could even continue into this evening. But once we lose the daytime heating, a lot of this will go away. Rain chances 30% today and tomorrow, and then they do start to fall off. Lower chances. In fact, we don't expect any rain Thursday, Friday before another return of some small chances Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Guys.
All right, thanks so much, Justin. Our hearts heavy for those who died in the Hill Country floods, and people gathered here in San Antonio gathering to pay their respects. That's right, Jeff. Our team coverage continues this morning with our Ernie Zuniga, who is in Kerrville, and again, Patty Santos in Ingram. And first of all, we're going to go to Ernie. That vigil held last night right here in downtown San Antonio, Travis Park, but they're in Kerrville. Ernie, as you've been reporting throughout the past couple of mornings, really kind of an eerie silence that speaks volumes this morning.
Yeah, I mean, I really couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, especially coming out here at this hour, you know, we've been out here since about 4 o'clock this morning, and you're just struck by the complete silence, which is interrupted by the occasional deer that strolls by or a helicopter that came over, a DPS helicopter earlier. But we're seeing some more media members. The area is kind of peppered with affiliates from around the state and the area that are here covering this unbelievable story here. Just quickly, I mentioned the Francisco Lemus Bridge, which I am in front of here right now, which is impassable. But KSAT is scheduled to come out here in the next hour or two when the sun comes out to further examine, assess the damage, and then continue cleanup efforts. Because believe it or not, this was much worse in the aftermath and the immediate aftermath of the rain last Friday morning. But as you mentioned earlier, a very powerful vigil unfolded last night there in downtown San Garcia Sierra. The mayor was there, and the Archbishop made a point to acknowledge how tight-knit all of the impacted communities here in the Hill Country are. KSAT 12's John Paul Barajas was there and has more on that vigil.
So everybody knows everybody, and so everybody's hurting.
My heart breaks for the families. Sorry.
To be honest, we looked at it and we were like, I was like,
I mean, I think if it was my grandkids, that's what I think about.
Friday morning, I turned the TV on. I have kept my eyes off of it. It's the most devastating thing that happened, and it's still going on.
Yeah, just a handful of the people and the sound that John Paul was able to get for us. Just some powerful stuff right there from people, and just raw emotion on full display there in Travis Park. Now, some of the takeaways from that vigil, which by the way was hosted by Centro San Antonio, they are asking for non-monetary items to collect for those in need, and some of them you might expect and others maybe not so much. But really quickly here, personal hygiene products, toothbrushes, toothpaste, shampoo, conditioner, deodorant, those kinds of things, clothing, new socks, underwear, t-shirts, shoes, flip-flops, and also non-perishable food items like canned goods with the pull top, the tabs that you could pull off, bottled water, baby formula, those kinds of things, butter, peanut butter, I should say, and snack packs. So those are things that are being collected by Centro San Antonio kind of in an organized, streamlined way, and then eventually they'll make their way here to the Hill Country. So while that continues, here in Kerrville, we know another press conference is scheduled for 10 o'clock this morning, but later this evening at 6 o'clock, the Kerrville City Council is having an emergency meeting. They will assemble their city council together to, according to their agenda, discuss the continuing and renewing the mayor's disaster declaration, which happened very immediately last Friday. They'll also update the status of the recovery efforts and the city's response, and that is, again, an emergency meeting of the Kerrville City Council scheduled to happen later on this evening at 6 o'clock. And of course, we'll have crews there and continue to cover that throughout the day on air and online on all the platforms of KSAT 12. I want to send it over now to Ingram, not too far from where I am this morning. Patty Santos has been there now for multiple days, getting to know the people there and hearing what they've gone and how they're all processing what has unfolded in front of them in these last few days. So, Patty, good morning to you.
Hey there, good morning, Ernie. And you know, one of the questions that people want to know, especially people that are not from around here, is how could this have happened? Why did this community not get an early warning? I've gotten a chance to talk to some of the people that are here, and they know this is an area that has potential for flooding. And some of them have told me they've got the warning. Some of them got warnings on their phones, and they say they ignored it as well. I talked to Ray Howard. He is a city council member here in the city of Ingram, but he says after what he saw firsthand on Friday, the mentality and the technology to warn this community about flood potential has to change. Take a listen.
I saw a camper going by with people in it screaming for help, and then when it's starting to get a little light, I saw a 13, 14-year-old boy getting swept down river screaming for help. So calling the sheriff's department, doing whatever I could, there to, but I couldn't get in because they were too far away out there.
What did you tell him?
Try to grab a tree, try to grab something. And it gets really congested with trees just downstream right here. So I don't know what happened to them.
And you mentioned an alert system, some sort of siren. Your community can't afford that.
No, we need some assistance on getting that. And this doesn't happen very often, but we did have a little flood last year in July, and it took out part of Ingram up here in the hills. But that was localized. It wasn't the main river that actually blew out that bad. But we need to get something going. I'm going to be, one of my arguments and one of my fights is going to be an early warning system up and down the river here.
But I mean, you had the alarm, your phone went off, and you still ignored it.
Well, the first one, because we get them all the time.
And during one of the news conferences early this week, we heard federal and state leaders talking about sirens and the potential of early warning systems. Yesterday, I followed up with a woman in Comfort. I did a story with her 2 years ago about her efforts to get some sort of alert system. They were able to get a siren. It took a grant for them to be able to afford that, but she says those sirens went off on Friday. And again, these are the kind of stories, these are the kind of things that we're going to be hearing about, and we're going to be following up on, not just this week, but through the months and the years. Hopefully this community gets some sort of sirens. We're live in Ingram. Patty Santos, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you very much for that, Patty, reporting out in Ingram. While upgrading the flood warning system in Kerr County has been discussed for the last decade, if not longer. Back in 2016, Kerr County commissioners discussed a proposal from the then Kerr County Sheriff, Rusty Hierholzer, to spend $1 million on upgrades, including installing flood sirens loud enough to alarm people within 3 miles of the flood gauge. That proposal did not move forward, and Kerr County commissioners decided sticking with a river calling system and decided that that would be a better approach there. That system includes the summer campsites calling one another in a phone chain to warn of potential dangers along the river. Now, the 2016 minutes from that county commissioners meeting specify that Kerr County commissioners tried getting funding for some improvements through a FEMA grant, but their application was not selected.
I'll shout it from the mountaintops. Praise God. I want my world to know the Lord of love has come to me. I want to pass it on.
Yeah, and you hear those young ladies right there. As those who lost their lives and those who are still missing remain in our thoughts and hearts and prayers, we're also sharing stories of survival in the midst of this horrible tragedy. That video that you just saw right there was taken by a Camp Mystic nurse during their bus evacuation. And you just heard those campgoers singing gospel hymns in the midst of all of this. As we know, Camp Mystic, one of the hardest hit camps in the Hill Country floods.
And we already know this devastation has triggered the call to action across our country. The nonprofit God's Pit Crew out of Danville, Virginia, known to help in catastrophic events such as this. They're sending volunteers and supplies to help flood survivors in Kerr County. 2 tractor trailers of blessing buckets filled with essential items being distributed by local partners and churches.
Our hearts, our prayers are with all of our friends there impacted in Texas. Texas goes through a lot. This is not our first time responding out there, and this is so devastating. We just want them to know that we are coming. Hope is on the way.
Now, up to 50 volunteers will soon help with debris removal and cleanup. God's Pit Crew also sends special play pails to children affected by the floods.
All right, thank you very much for that, Japhanie. And I know that you worked on that story there, and people from across the country sending any type of relief to folks, our neighbors in the Hill Country. Let's give you a look here at the traffic situation. 35 San Marcos traffic looking good there for our drivers in the downtown area. East side of town right there, 37 at Jones, no major issues. A couple of things popping up on our traffic maps right now. This right here, this is going to be 35 right here at north of Salado Creek. So that's going to be right before you get to the 410-35 connector. But it looks like traffic for the most part is moving along there, even though our maps are indicating that there is a stalled vehicle there. We do have a stalled vehicle right here. This is going to be 410 west of Somerset Road, and that's going to be affecting all of our drivers coming off of this 35 and 410 interchange on the southwest side of town. But other than that, everything else across the city is looking pretty good for the most part as we make our way through your Tuesday morning commute. Justin?
Thank you, sir. We'll go outside with time came at 78 degrees and 613. If you look at rain across the country, 2 bullseyes, but you really notice that one in Texas. Torrential rainfall. What does that mean for our aquifer? We'll take a look at that coming up.
.617 right now in Kerr County. Volunteer firefighters from Mexico are working side by side with Texas crews in the flood zone.
KPRC 2's Ricky Munoz is in Ingram for us this morning live with how they're helping search for those missing individuals. Good morning, Ricky.
Good morning. I'm actually in the site where Fundación 911 should be arriving. This site is designated to feed victims and rescue teams, and is also used for them to clean up. But Fundación 911 or 911 Foundation is out of Acuña, Mexico, where they're trained for water rescues, and they're now working alongside Texas crews here in the Hill Country. Now, the group arrived Sunday and went straight to work here near Junction Highway and Riverside Road. You can see them in these photos hauling gear, combing through piles of debris, even bringing in drones to help with the search. They've trained for this back home, but now they're putting those skills to the test. Again, Fundación 911 should be arriving here at this site around 8 a.m. and I'm trying to get an update for you guys and keep you up to speed, and we'll keep you updated on air and online. But for now, reporting live in Ingram, I'm Ricky Munoz, KSAT 12 News.
All right. Thank you so much, Ricky.
Okay, let's give you an update on the traffic situation right there as we continue to get reports from our crews, our sister station KPRC, that's helping us out to cover the Hill Country flooding event that unfortunately is impacting so many of our neighbors out there in parts of Kerrville, Ingram, and Hunt. So let's take a look here at this situation. This is going to be 10 at Probent. So eastbound lanes of 10, it looks like we do have a crash that's being reported right now, and this is affecting all of our traffic over by Steve's, a little bit past the Probent area, and also the South Florida Street area. So if you are along 10 south of downtown, chances are you might run into some pretty good backups out there along the eastbound lanes over by the Probent area. Southwest side of town, 410 at Somerset Road. Traffic is moving along that area, but we do have a stalled vehicle being reported there on the right-hand lane. It's off to the shoulder, got the emergency lights on, so hopefully we could get a hero truck out there at some point in the near future and help this individual out. Just be careful if you're going to be headed out south of downtown and also on the southwest side of town. All right, let's go to Justin right now with a check of things in the weather department. Justin.
Thanks, sir. Let's look at rainfall estimates from yesterday. We did get some downpours around the city, and estimates were anywhere from 1/4 of an inch, maybe up to 1/2 an inch with some of these showers and downpours that developed. Atascosa County probably did the best, about 2 inches with some of those heavier storms down there around Poteet and Pleasanton. We could see a similar setup today, although I think the better chances will be east of I-35 this afternoon. Let me show you this. These are the rainfall totals over the last week. And where you see those bright pink colors and whitish colors, that's where we had the most rainfall. And of course, that bullseye was right over Texas. We have another one here in the Carolinas. That's from what was left of Chantal, which is still producing heavy rain there. But those are kind of the two bullseyes. And man, when you have that much rain over central Texas, you know you're going to run into some issues. And sadly, we have. Now, I do want to talk a little bit about the aquifer, because we've gotten a lot of emails asking, well, how come the aquifer isn't going up so fast? Well, this black outline here, that is the contributing zone. And then this white area here, which is much smaller, is the recharge zone. If really heavy rain falls in the recharge zone, it happens, the aquifer fills up very quickly. If it falls in the contributing zone, it's a much slower process. It's got to funnel down into the aquifer, and it can take days or maybe even weeks. And I think that's kind of what we're running into. You see the big numbers there in the contributing zone. The numbers were not near as large in the recharge zone. So expect the aquifer to go up, but it'll be kind of a slow process. 3.7 feet, it's gone up since July 2nd. It's at 6:38 this morning and rising. Outside, cloudy skies and 78 degrees at the airport. Very, very humid out there, and it will be a humid week. Futurecast shows that we'll get some showers gathering along the coast a little bit later this morning into the early afternoon hours, and then some of that activity will work towards San Antonio this evening. This is around 5 o'clock. Again, best chances east of I-35, but even here in San Antonio, we could see some of those downpours this evening, and then tonight, once the sun goes down, we'll see those chances basically go away. 20% chance at 1 o'clock. We up it to a 30% chance late this afternoon. Your high temperature is 91. 30% chance coming up tomorrow. And then quieter conditions Thursday and Friday before more small rain chances this weekend. And please keep in mind, heat index values will be near 100 throughout this forecast. We'll be right back.
Coming up on 625 this morning with 78 degrees outside.
Our Hill Country flood coverage continues this morning. Ernie?
Yeah, the devastation and the cleanup efforts continue here. We're awaiting the arrival of TxDOT to come and continue assessing and cleaning up the Francisco Lemus Bridge here, which is completely impassable and has been since Friday. So we're monitoring that and much more here in Kerrville coming up.
KSAT has been covering every aspect of this recovery effort. Coming up next on GMSA, how Texans are helping Texans.
Coming up on 6:30 right now. Thank you very much for joining us on this Tuesday edition of Good Morning San Antonio. We just saw some images of some of the confirmed victims from the Hill Country as we continue our coverage this morning and throughout the rest of the day.
So we got our Ernie Zuniga in Kerrville and our Patty Santos over in Ingram. We're going to go to Ernie first. Ernie, what's going on as the sun starts to come up?
Hey, Japhanie, good morning. Yeah, we're getting a better sense of just the unbelievable damage, again, in every direction. And the Guadalupe River is right behind me here. This is the Francisco Lemus Bridge, which again is impassable right now. In the next hour or so, TxDOT should be here to continue the cleanup efforts and just to assess the integrity of this bridge to see if it is in fact passable, because it essentially connects parts of Kerrville to another part of the town, of the city and everything. So we're standing by for all of that here. But as you guys both know, we've just been inundated in recent days with stories of heroism and generosity, giving, and no doubt many more of those stories will come out, but we wanted to highlight a couple of those right now, including a Hill Country couple being hailed as heroes for saving lives, multiple lives, during Friday's deadly flood in Hunt. Scott and Connie Towery, longtime residents and managers of the River Inn Resort, started banging on doors around 2 a.m. on the 4th of July. That day, they warned more than 130 guests to evacuate as the water from the Guadalupe River began rising fast. Now, the resort, for context, is about a mile away from Camp Mystic, and it sits right on the river's edge. One section of the property took on 5 feet of water, and in all that craziness, dozens of people were stranded, and bed sheets had to be used to hoist people to safety.
We'd push and they'd pull, and it was probably 40 to 45 people. The current was coming, and that was our only option, was to put these people on the roof.
So you're talking about dozens and dozens of lives that were saved that morning. One woman was swept away in the chaos and unfortunately is still missing. Scott Towery says that the water did not begin receding until sunrise, allowing people to finally walk off the property. The property's future now rests with an engineer's assessment expected later on this week. But again, just one of the untold numbers of examples and stories of heroism. And just feats of strength and those kinds of things that we continue to hear coming out of the Hill Country. So we're going to send it over to Ingram now. I know Patty has been hearing very similar stories as well, and talking to volunteers who just cannot stop from trying to reach out and help and do good in that community. Patty.
Yeah, a lot of the viewers out there are watching and saying, how can I help? And we've been covering a lot of the devastation, but we've also been highlighting some of those helpers, people who, just like you said, cannot help it, and they want to help Texans right here in the Hill Country. There are many people just like John Swartz from Dripping Springs. His company builds lakes and ponds, so he has the heavy machinery to clear out areas, and he has a friend who lives here near Ingram. He called them up and said, do your neighbors need help? And that is where we found him. He showed up with about 10 people, pausing his jobs for a week to be here in this community. What was happening, and you decided it's time to come over?
Yeah, we just put off what we were doing, our normal projects, and we decided, called the landowners, and of course our customers were more than happy to give us a little time, and we've got some more guys and some more equipment coming. So
they're getting paid, but you're doing it as a company owner out of your pocket.
Correct.
This is important for you?
Absolutely. Yes, that's that's the good thing about being in Texas. We take care of things. We take care of our neighbors.
Thank you so much. It is devastating, but it's also nice to see people like yourself that are showing up with this kind of work that needs to be done. And those are the kind of volunteers that we have had the privilege to meet and tell you their stories, but very important. The county wants anyone who is coming out to do any sort of volunteer work, whether it's heavy machinery that you're bringing in, to check in with the Kerrville Salvation Army. Check in, report there, and then head out. They'll tell you what communities need help. So we have all of that information right now on KSAT.com. Reporting live from Ingram, I'm Patty Santos. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Patty. Well, as we know, so many families are still waking up this morning waiting for the call that their loved one who was swept away by floodwaters has survived. Well, sadly, that is not the reality for at least 90 people this morning. But one San Antonio woman and her brother, hopeful that their 77-year-old mother that you see right here is still alive. Rachel Lynn says that her mother, Miss Penny Ferguson, is spry, loves being outdoors, loves camping, and loves traveling in her RV with her husband, Mr. Bruce. The couple had been living in the HRT Texas Hill Country RV park and campground when the overnight floods took their RV downstream. Well, Lynn, being a retired U.S. Coast Guard, and her brother, who is an active first responder, have been back and forth to Kerrville searching. And though they haven't found their mother just yet, they are still answering the call to help.
And we've plucked people out of rooftops, attics, trees. They're just sitting on top of buildings and anything that they could get to get out of water. And a whole week has gone by, and we still are rescuing people. People can survive.
Now, later today, you're going to hear from her brother, who was down for vacation and who sadly and hopelessly watched his parents get swept away before his very eyes. In the meantime, we do have a sad update. As of this interview yesterday, it was known that Mr. Bruce's body was one of the people recovered. So he passed away, but the family's still hopeful that their mother is still out there. So if you've seen her, look at your screen right now. There's a number to call, 830-258-1111.
Yeah, Jeff, very sad update there and very sad news. And we continue to pray for that family there as well. And there are so many ways that you can help out the Hill Country communities who have been impacted by this terrible tragedy. That includes volunteering, donating money also, and you can also scan the QR code that you see on your screen. We have a list of where you can donate and where to call if you also want to lend a hand and volunteer. You can also donate blood, and hundreds of you have already said yes to rolling up your sleeves. The South Texas Blood and Tissue Center says that on Friday alone, they had 314 people sign up to donate blood. And then a day later, Saturday, they had another 109 people that did the same. The South Texas Blood and Tissue Center says that this is in response to the deadly flooding in the Hill Country. If you want to donate, you can make an appointment online. Visit donor.southtexasblood.org. You can also call the number that you see on your screen right there, 210-731-5590.
All right, amongst all the tragedy, I want to show you a little bit of beauty. This was yesterday. With the storms coming through, the V. Escobar sent this in from the Live Oak, Selma area. Beautiful rainbow there, and over top some green grass. Yes, we did see a few more storms show up yesterday, some downpours across the city of San Antonio, and we may do that again today as we go outside for you. Very humid, 78 degrees right now, 77 in New Braunfels, 78 down there at Stinson. Not a lot of wind, but what winds we do see today will be out of the south to southeast, which means humidity is not going anywhere. Small chances of rain this morning. We bump it up to a 30% chance this afternoon. Your high temperature will be around 91, but that will feel more like the upper 90s, close to 100. RJ?
Okay, just let's give a quick check of our traffic here. 37 at Hackberry traffic is looking pretty good out there for our drivers along Hackberry and that part of 37. Still trying to deal with this crash. This is going to be 10 East right there at Probant over by Steves Avenue. So that's going to be right before you get to Roosevelt Avenue and before you get to the 37 exit coming off of 10. So keep that in mind if you are traveling south of downtown. Southwest side of town, we have a stalled vehicle right there west of Somerset Road, right on 410, right before you hit the 35 interchange. Let's take you back out to the Hill Country. Obviously want to remind our folks that Highway 39 still completely shut down, impassable for the moment as we have our crews continue to work on the scenes there. 1340 as well, also still closed for the most part. We have TxDOT crews on the scene helping out with some of the cleanup areas and the debris out there. The spot that Ernie's at, this is going to be Lima Street. You see that's right over the Guadalupe River. This is in Kerrville now, and you could see that we have green right here, but you saw from some of those shots from that Ernie had there in his live hit that we have got a ton of debris damaged roads, damaged bridges in that area. But TxDOT did want to update our folks and say that FM 480, this is right here in Center Point, that bridge over the Guadalupe River has reopened, but another bit of caution before you have to head out there. If you have to head out there, just be careful. They do not want folks to be walking under the bridge that kind of connects 480 to Highway 27. So we'll continue to update you guys with the very latest from TxDOT and the Hill Country. Justin.
Thank you, sir. Outside with light cam, it is 640, 78 degrees. Coming up, we're going to talk about watch and warning fatigues. You get a lot of them on your phone. And what's the difference and what action should be taken? We'll discuss coming up.
6:43. It is one of the deadliest natural disasters in recent Texas history, where dozens of lives have been lost and search crews are now arriving from across the country.
Rochelle Turner with our sister station KPRC in Houston is stationed at the heart of the response in Kerrville, the Hill Country Youth Event Center, where she continues our team coverage on this Tuesday morning. Good morning, Rochelle.
Good morning, RJ and Japhanie. And today we've learned that there are going to be crews coming in from Florida, Missouri, Colorado, and Nebraska to help with the search and recovery efforts. So I do want to show you what we're seeing right here behind me. And you do see an empty parking lot. And that's because we've learned that officials have things set up a little different this morning. So further down is where first responders are parked. That's where you'll see the helicopter and some of those giant emergency response vehicles. This middle area that's empty, that's where some of the dignitaries are going to be parking. So Governor Greg Abbott and his staff, along with any state and local leaders that may be speaking later today at a press conference. And then as I step back into frame, this building right here behind me is where we're seeing some of the first responders go in. That's where they're going inside to have breakfast before they get ready to get their day started. But as we come back over to me, I want to point that we did see some of the damage firsthand yesterday in Comfort. That's about 15 miles southeast from where we are. And I want to show you some new video that we were able to get. We saw groups of volunteers along with city and county workers. They were cleaning up debris and searching for missing people along the Guadalupe River. Now, crews have recovered the bodies of 84 people in Kerr County, including 56 adults and 28 children. The identification is still pending for 22 adults and 10 children right now. And this morning, 10 Camp Mystic campers and one counselor remain unaccounted for. Now, counselors at the La Junte camp were able to wake up campers in time. No lives were lost there, but it's a different story at Camp Mystic. Sadly, 27 campers and counselors sadly died. This is all information that came from a press release yesterday. Kerrville city manager addressed questions about why an evacuation wasn't ordered.
Well, why don't we evacuate? Well, evacuation is a delicate balance, because if you evacuate too late, you then risk putting buses, or cars or vehicles or campers on roads into low water areas trying to get them out, which then can make it even more challenging because these flash floods happen very quickly. That's what.
Coming up at 7:45, you're going to hear more from the city manager, and he's going to talk about the challenges first responders and volunteers are facing out there on some of the terrain. Now, we do know a press conference is going to be happening right here this morning at 10 a.m. The governor is going to have a press conference as well at 3 p.m. We'll be sure to bring you guys any new developments on air and online at KSAT.com. Reporting live in Kerrville, I'm Rochelle Turner, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you very much for that, Rochelle. And yes, we will have that press conference at 10 o'clock in the morning with the very latest information from the Hill Country. Let's give you an update on the roads here in the San Antonio area. 1604 Wiseman Boulevard. Traffic is looking good out there for the most part. 10 at Woodlawn. We'd had some overnight construction on the eastbound lanes of Woodlawn as they continue some of the repaving operations there. 10 at Days of Alla. No major issues for our drivers in that part of the city on the northwest side of a town. One more shot there at the east side. All right, still seeing some pretty good backups over here. 10 east at Probant. So we do have our indicator there that we have that crash right there by Steves Avenue. This is going to be Probant, and this is going to be Roosevelt. So anyone that's going to be kind of around the south of downtown area, Southtown area, King William, coming off of 10 and 90, just keep that in mind. We still are seeing some pretty good backups out there if you are trying to make your way to the Highway 37 off of 10. And then real quick, we do have reports of a stalled vehicle being reported 410 South at WW White Road. That's going to be on the southeast side of town over here right before you get to the 37 410 interchange right here, a little bit south of Indian Hills and a little bit south of Southeast Military Drive. So we'll continue to keep you updated on the roads and see how things are looking for your Tuesday commute. Justin, how are we looking out there?
Okay, RJ, real quick, I want to talk about, if you allow me, I want to talk about watches and warnings and alerts when it comes to your phone. Now, we don't know, how this disaster played out when it came to alerts and who got them. We'll work all that out. But I do want to talk a little bit about the fact that if you want alerts on your phone from National Weather Service or wherever, you got to make sure your location services are turned on for weather so that you can get those alerts. That's kind of something that you may want to remember. And I was just showing my dad how to do that yesterday. And when it comes to watches versus warnings, we had flood watch, of course, in effect. And what does a watch mean? Well, it means flooding is possible. The exact location of that, though, is to be determined. A watch is going to cover, it's going to span multiple counties, right? It just means you need to be prepared, that the threat is there, and have a way to get warnings. As we just talked about, a lot of times it's, your phone is the easiest way for that to happen. What is a warning then? Well, warning is when flooding is happening. It is underway. The exact location is known. We can, go all the way down to street level or, a county. We know that it is happening and underway. You need to take action and stay off the roads and seek higher ground. And, Patty talked to someone earlier, if you're listening earlier in the newscast, where he said, we get these all the time. I just ignored it. Well, that's part of the problem, too, is we do start to get watch and warnings fatigue. You get these on your phone and you say, hey, I've dealt with this before. It's no big deal. Each situation is different. That's all I'll say about that. And just, again, remember to have those watches and warnings turned on in case something like this unfolds. Okay, water vapor satellite. We've got a little swirl down here in the Gulf. This is going to throw some moisture in our direction later this afternoon and this evening. And when it does, it's going to help to stir up a little bit more rain around the area. As we look at the futurecast here, and by the way, I think the best chance today is going to be east of I-35. But we'll start to see some of these pop-up downpours around 2 o'clock, and then some of this will start to move a little further inland by the late afternoon and evening hours. And it does show some cells maybe developing even into the evening hours. But I think with the loss of daytime heating, you'll see a lot of this go away. And we're talking a ½ inch, maybe a little more than that in spots underneath some of these heavier downpours. But we are not looking, or we don't believe that there will be flooding today, especially with a lot of this going away, again, with the loss of daytime heating. So a small chance of rain this morning, 20% chance by 1 o'clock, and then by the afternoon, a 30% chance of rain. 91 is your high temperature, and 30% chance of rain coming up tomorrow. We get quieter conditions Thursday and Friday, and then maybe a few more showers showing up over the weekend and into early next week. Rainfall, I wanted to check in on that very quickly. For San Antonio, we're at 20.04 inches. We are still 3 inches above average. We did not see any rain yesterday, but it continues to be a rainy month for sure. 30% chance of rain coming up tomorrow, 94 Thursday, 95 Friday, smaller rain chances by the weekend and going into next week, as we said. And do note that we'll see temperatures in the 90s each and every day with heat indices probably approaching 100 each and every day too, meaning it's going to be hot and humid.
All right. Well, last night's flood victims vigil in San Antonio prayer was led by multiple priests, including Archbishop Gustavo Garcia Siller. We're going to hear from him and other people who are helping flood victims next on GMSA Plus.
6:55. Let's give you a quick update on the traffic situation here south of downtown, because we have got a pretty good backup over here. 35 going north past 10 into the downtown area. There is the closure of the 35 northbound lanes over at Laredo Street. So keep that in mind if you're about to step outside. Justin?
Thanks, sir. We are going to see a small chance for rain today, about a 30% shot, mainly during the afternoon. And temperatures will be up around 91 for a high, with more rain chances tomorrow, smaller rain chances Thursday, Friday.
Stick around for GMSA Plus. Our Hill Country flood coverage continues after this.